Imagine this. What if you could build an entire digital world, servers, networks, the whole shebang, with just a few lines of text? Well, that is the incredible power of infrastructure as code, and over the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly how it all works.
That's a huge question, right? And the answer is really the core promise of what we call infrastructure as code, or IAC for short. It's all about taking that manual, repetitive, and frankly boring work of building servers and networks and turning it into something automated, reliable, and just unbelievably fast.
So to really get why IAC is such a game changer, we first have to understand the problem it solves. And to do that, we need to take a quick look back at the old way of doing things, what I like to call the manual mess.
And yeah, this slide pretty much sums up the chaos. Before IAC, if you needed a server, someone had to literally log into a cloud dashboard and just start clicking away. Configure this, set that permission, deploy this network. It was so slow. And even worse, it was a minefield for human error. You forget one little checkbox and suddenly things are broken. This is where you get those massive inconsistencies and that dreaded phrase, well, it works on my server.
But what if there was a better way? A way to escape that manual mess and create something that's elegant, repeatable, and totally reliable? Well, there is, and it all starts with the code blueprint.
So what is infrastructure as code? At its heart, it's the practice of managing your infrastructure using, well, code. Instead of clicking buttons in a web browser, you write a simple configuration file, a script that defines exactly what you need. It basically turns your entire server setup into a piece of software that you can run over and over again.
Think about building a house for a second. You would never just start laying bricks and hope for the best, right? No way. You'd use a detailed blueprint. IAC is that exact same idea, but for your cloud. You create one perfect blueprint and you can hand it to your robot, which is the IAC tool, to build an identical environment every single time. No mistakes, no oops, I forgot that setting, just perfection, every time.
Okay, so the whole blueprint analogy makes a lot of sense, but what does this actually look like in the real world? How do we get from a simple text file on your computer to a fully functioning cloud environment? Let's break it down.
It's really this beautiful three-step dance. First, you write a file describing what you want, say a server, a database, and a network to connect them. Then, you hand that file over to an IAC tool. That tool acts like a translator, reading your file and telling your cloud provider what to do. And finally, step 3. The cloud provider just builds it. Everything is created or updated automatically, exactly as you described. Simple, yet so powerful.
Now, don't worry, we're not about to start a coding lesson here, but I wanted you to see what this code actually looks like. This little block of text is a real example using a tool called Terraform. All it's doing is telling Amazon Web Services, hey, I need a new server instance, and here are the exact specs I want. You run this simple script, and a server just appears. It's pretty close to magic.
So we know what it is, we've seen how it works, but why has this become so fundamental to modern tech? Why does it matter so much? Well, the payoff is absolutely enormous.
The benefits are just game-changing. First, speed and automation. You can launch entire complex environments in minutes, not days or weeks. Then there's consistency. Every single environment, from the one on your laptop to the one in production, is identical. You can finally say goodbye to those "it works on my machine" bugs. You also get version control, which means you can track every change to your infrastructure just like you track changes to your app's code. And of course, this all leads to incredible scalability and cost efficiency. Need 10 copies of your setup? Done. Need to tear them all down so you stop paying for them? Also done. Automatically.
And this isn't just some abstract theory. This is the standard for how the biggest companies in the world operate. So let's take a look at the tools they're using and who's really putting this into practice.
There's a whole ecosystem of tools out there. Terraform is probably one of the most popular because it's cloud agnostic, meaning it can talk to almost any cloud provider out there. But the big cloud players like Amazon and Microsoft, they have their own tools too, like CloudFormation and Azure Resource Manager, which are really tightly integrated into their platforms. The key takeaway here is that there's a tool for just about every need.
And who's using it? Well, some of the biggest names in tech you can think of. Netflix manages its massive global infrastructure with ISC. Shopify automates its entire setup to handle those huge traffic spikes during sales. But it's not just for the giants. Startups can spin up a complete production-ready environment from a single script. That lets them move at a speed that was just impossible a decade ago.
So, to wrap it all up, infrastructure as code is the definitive blueprint for the cloud. It is that single source of truth that defines, builds, and manages your entire digital world all automatically.
It's simply how modern technology is built.
It's such a powerful shift in mindset, isn't it? It transforms building infrastructure from a manual chore into a creative, software-driven process. So, with the ability to build entire worlds with just a few lines of text, the only question left is, what will you build?